Welcome to our series on understanding God's voice. Now, in dealing with some of the ways in which God speaks to us, during this series, I will touch on God speaking through dreams and vision. This is perhaps one of my favorite because people mostly fall under each of this category. And what I mean by that is this is very common with general public and universally so as I travel across different parts of the world. God speaks to us through dreams. And the anchor scripture here we're going to start with is Genesis 37, the story and events that occurred in the life of Joseph. Now, Joseph got up in the morning and said to his brothers, one night, the Bible says one night Joseph had a dream. And when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. Now, let's leave the part that they hated him even more right there and focus on the content of the dream. Now, Joseph told them about this dream he had where their own sheaves bow down to his. But notice something about the dream. He gave them details of every the event in the dream. When he had the second dream, he told that to the father, and he has details. Some of the critical details was 11 stars. The second dream, some of the critical detail to pay attention was the moon and the sun, referring to the father and mother. What is important here that I want to mention is that there are different kinds of dreams. There is what we call revelational dream, and this is what Joseph is having. A revelational dream is a dream that you are able to remember details of what happened in the event, or at least 95% accuracy of what just went on. Now, some people, you may have even up to 90. Why is that important? Because the dream was a revelation given to you by God. And because it's a revelation given to you by God, He doesn't give you information that confuses you about what's going on or about what is about to happen. He gives you, it's almost like God is giving you a letter to read. So you can read the letter, perhaps at the first glance of reading through the whole letter, you don't understand what this letter represents and what made of it. So you fold the letter and keep it away. And then a few days later, you pick it up and read again. This is very crucial because across the world, and maybe this has happened to you, God has spoken to people and given them detailed revelation like a love letter to them about their future. And they thought, it was this, some people call it strange dream. I had this strange dream. And they will go forward to explain details of what happened in the dream. And many times, I've heard people share this with me. And of course, one of the gifts that God has given me is the ability to see through by word of knowledge or interpretive understanding. Now, it's not something that I have, a business card that if you have dream, you contact me, But the ability to hear, and then I'm able to see through the pictures of what God is telling the person. So, and this has brought me into a conversation with people that at the end it's led to them being encountered by God or being the power of God just come over them. And sometimes it could just be by hearing the story of their life, and then an insight is given to me, and that has led to their salvation. But in this context, it has to do with dreams. Whenever, and if you have had this encounter before, where you had a dream and you could remember details, accuracy of what happened, that's a love letter from heaven. You should be excited because God is giving you a revelation of what is to come, a revelation of something He has in stock for you. The cruciality of this is that understanding this dream, having the understanding that this is God's love letter, can shape your entire future and enable you to know some of the choices you can make as you observe the events of your life unfold. Very important. So we see that Joseph, even though he was hated for the dream, which is very common, when you have a revelation about your life and you start expressing it and start ambitiously getting excited and passionate about what God has told you about your life, of course, opposition will come, especially within your household, because you cannot really explain the details of what it means. And you see, that's not your place. Just as it was for Joseph, he couldn't give them what does that mean. So you should not seek to have understanding. And this is where some people have completely put aside the dream, because I know it was so real. I got up, I knew it was so real, but I didn't know what it meant. That's okay. You don't have to know what it meant. It's a love letter, and He's going to give you gradual revelational process. And most of the events happening in your life, if you go back to that revelational dream, check the events that have occurred in your life. If they have been in opposition to what you saw, here is a kicker. They might just be preparing you to meet Pharaoh. This is why revelational dreams are so incredible. They encourages your heart, that even when you're at that place where you have questions about your future and your life, you look back knowing that it's a revelational dream. You can say, God, I believe I will not quit. Now encourage me, help me to keep going. So that hatred and opposition and even wickedness that could be put along the way to that realization are not necessarily a sign that you didn't see or hear from God, or they are not necessarily an indication that you got the wrong revelation, but actually they're an indication you're on the right path. Notice what happened to Joseph. Hated by his brothers, confused, the parents confused. When he got to Egypt, serving with all his heart, hated by Potiphar's wife. I don't know how you put it, hated or not hated, or loved by Potiphar's wife, but because of his integrity, it caused him more problems. However, Joseph could not have known that the prison was God's setup for the palace. You know, I wanted to talk about visions also, but I think this is so crucial, and I'll just allow you to digest this information and reread the story of Joseph. I will talk about the complexities surrounding his life and journey in another recording. But I just wanted to realize, if God has given you an understanding of a dream that you can remember details, put it down. That might be the painting letter of your life and future. And I hope this stir up your heart to know God has been speaking to you. God bless you, and shalom.